Miss Mike. How are you guys? Putting my hair up real quick. Got some stuff to do today. Hello, Rebel Star. How are you? Can you hear me okay? I have the mic a little bit higher today. It like varies depending on the stream. Hello. Hello, Curry. Alright, let's get this switched over so we can get going. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to adjust the position of this a little bit depending on like where I'm at. Let me zoom out a little bit for now. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, hello, welcome back to another stream. Okay, thought my thing wasn't working. But yeah, so I guess happy post-Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving break and back to the grind before all the holidays. So I am already ready for another break. I am ready to be done with school and I'm tired. But today we're gonna do a lot of fun stuff. So last time we introduced a new project and we will be working on this little kit, Mejiro no Mero-chan. This is a figure from the sculptor Whoopie Pie and it is very cute. I love her, she's very much my style, and so we are back to sanding and getting through this. So last time we finished a couple of pieces, I think 3 of the bigger ones, but I have everything in this bag and I just set it aside because I have a lot going on my desk right now. So let me pull out what we're done with and then what we can continue with. I remember we sanded a lot of this skirt, I think. Yeah, it was this skirt. And then, oh yeah, I think we finished the legs. That was what we did. So we worked on the legs and we worked on the skirt, at least one of the sides of the skirt. And there's hair here. So yeah, we got all the seam lines off of this. Let's see if this towel is always the bane of my existence. Okay. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, we got all the seam lines off of this piece. As you can see, we noticed a few bubbles, and so those have been popped. And yeah, they're kind of hard to see here. There you go. So it's kind of hard to see, but there were a couple bubbles that I noticed already off the bat with this figure, and we stopped after sanding this piece. But what I'm gonna do now is start popping all the little bubbles that I noticed in here, because there are quite a few. An easy way to notice bubbles is if you take your piece and you hold it up to a light. So that was me visually demonstrating to hold it up to a light. But if you do that, you can, like, the light will shine through the piece of resin and then you can see the bubbles that are in it. And so they're like impossible to see right now, but they're all over this piece. And so what I'm gonna do is just go through and pop them with my pin vise here. I'm like holding my pin vise up to the light. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And then we'll move on to the other side of the skirt and start sanding that and do the same thing. Although I think I did remark last time, I did not notice as many bubbles with this piece of the skirt, and so that is a good thing. Let me move this down here a little because I have a feeling that I'm going to be pulling this towards myself. Oh yeah, also forgive this towel. I will probably move this, but as you can see, I've been painting, so I will have more work in progress on that sometime later when I get time to upload all my stuff. All right. So we'll ignore that for now. But anyway, so yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna pop just a few of them probably, like get a good way done. And then we'll just move on to the next piece. And so some of them, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Let's see. Yeah, probably not. But some of them have like a dirty texture, so you can almost like see the bubble in it. And so I can see those ones, and I'm just going to take my drill bit and make a little hole. And some of them are big enough that when I just set my pin vise in it, it literally settles into that hole, and I just drill out the hole that way. And so what we're gonna do is just do this for all of them. And later when we get to the putty step, we'll have to fill in all of these bubbles. Oops. Sometimes you lightly scratch it and that can all be filled in too. So yeah, I'm just gonna mark a few key areas. There were a lot. And so like once I know that they're there, I can tackle them more in depth later. And I don't want to do a ton of this on the camera either, because that means I'm going to be like holding up to the light and then bringing it back, trying to find the bubble. They do look pretty shallow though. Let's see. Sorry, holding it up to where I can see it. Okay. So it looks like they're mostly centralized over this area here for whatever reason. Sometimes if you rotate it or bring down your light, I'm gonna bring down the light and make it a little harsher. See if that will help. Oh yeah, that does help actually. Okay, so I'm gonna hold this. Just making dots. And it's one of those things that you really don't notice at first glance, because when I got this kit, I just picked it up and I thought, oh, she's so like nice and smooth and there's no problem. But then, especially with this white resin, these pock marks and these bubbles are a little bit hard to spot. And so with gray resin, it's a little bit easier because they cast a shadow that's a little easier to see. The white, like this white resin, you really can't see anything. Like you may see a hint of a bubble, and that gets you suspicious. And then after that, you just notice more and more of them. And then you don't have to do this step like right in the middle of sanding everything, but I like to do it ahead of time because it gives me an idea of what I will need to repair and how bad the damage is. And so when you're like, if you're working for a client or if you're, you know, want to get ahead of yourself, if you have an idea of how bad the cast is, you can estimate like how much time it will take you and where your energy is best spent. So that's just why I do it this way. Okay, I'm not gonna mark too many more though, because it's like pretty much assumed that this is where they're at. But there are at least 3 dozen, I would say. So sitting here popping these all night is not what I intend to do. And I'll move the light in just a bit. Kind of surprising. And also hoping that this doesn't mean the other pieces are like this either. Okay, so I think that's good. Let me move the light back, because that way you guys can see a little better. So yeah, let's see. There we go. So you can see the shadow of all the bubbles. That's a good angle. They're mostly centralized like here and all across here. So really just this area, this triangle area is where they're located. Odd, but okay. Anyway, so let's keep going. Now that we've got that area generally sanded out, and last time we finished smoothing this all out, so you can see the comparison. Let's see. Hopefully. There we go. So this is the piece that's sanded and this one is not. You can see there's all this junk that we still have to sand off here. So that's what we're going to be working on right now. We're going to move directly onto this piece because we're working our way up from the skirt. So let's see. Let's move some of this stuff and I will zoom in a little bit more. Oh, you know, I also need 2 other things. I need my X-Acto knife and I need my red clippers. So today we will be mostly using sandpaper and an X-Acto knife at some points, and these clippers that I've demolished. They are meant for very thin metal, but that's not what I use them for. I will use these for clipping small tabs. Alright, let's see. Okay, start on this side. Let's see if I have any sandpaper ready. I think last time I was pretty short on 400. So let's pull a couple of those out. Okay, I might need to cut some more 400 at some point. And let's pull this. Whoa. Is that where I want it? Be back a little. I'm just trying to position this in a way where I usually work so you guys can see me best. I think this is good. Yeah, that looks about good. Yeah, okay, that's good. So, we're gonna start on this side. Let me move this too because and okay, camera says I want everything. There we go. Now there's no other place for this camera to look. So, all right. So we're gonna start just on one side and sanding across. I am using 400 grit to initially sand this down, and then I will be going over it again with 800 and just kind of back and forth and back and forth.
It was like a terrible nightmare.
This is the initial sanding, so just want to get as much of the tabs and extra junk off as possible, and then we'll go in a little bit finer once we get all of the putty work and all that done. Actually, I think I might use a glove this time to get some of the oils on my hand to not be on it. So let's see. Hopefully this doesn't mess with the camera either. That seems okay. Yeah, let's hold that way for now. Maybe if I zoom out a bit, it will help. Yeah, that works. Okay, so let's just do this. Okay, there's some interesting stuff going on the side here too. You can see these extra seam lines and kind of junk from the casting process, so we're gonna have to sand all that down too. And based on the rough test fitting that we tried last time, we couldn't even get it to fit basically. I'm probably gonna need to putty some gaps here. Like I'm probably gonna need some more 400 today too. Okay, just get off some of that roughly. But yeah, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and had some time to relax. I actually did feel like I accomplished a lot over the break, so that was nice. But I am ready for the holiday season. And before I completely forget, I did want to talk briefly about the streaming schedule for this month. I did post a little stream image on Twitter, so it's like a monthly schedule. Basically, I'm gonna be streaming this today and Thursday and next Tuesday, and then the next 2 weeks after that it's kind of like scattered because the holidays are happening and there's travel plans and all of that. So I also posted on Instagram if you get a chance and you want to look at it. That will cover when there are and aren't streams. But yeah, we'll have a few more this month. And I really like the idea of doing that. I just usually can't plan. What is this? There's like a weird thing here. Okay. I usually can't plan that far in advance, but because I know I'm going to be traveling and stuff, I'm able to do that. Very excited in 2 weeks going to a wedding for some good friends, so that should be really fun and a big relief because they've been trying to have their wedding forever. Alright, so we finished the side here. Gonna go a little bit up here because there's a weird dot of resin that's kind of stuck. There we go, it's a little better. But yeah, let's see how that fits. Oh yeah, it's kind of rough. And the tabs here aren't the greatest. Okay. Yeah, it's got kind of a rough fit. I feel like it kind of fits here, but this is gonna need some work. And also there's some extra resin here, so all of these things impact the fit of the piece. Okay. Alright, so let's continue. We're gonna start sanding along the edges here. Okay, get this focused. Is it too bright also? I can turn it down a little bit. What is this song? There we go. Okay. Sorry, had to hold that in place, but let's get going. I think I already see a bubble here. Yep, that's a bubble. Pop that out. Oh, wow, heard that one. It's like you start it and then it goes in and it just makes a sound. Come on. Right there. That was a pretty deep bubble. Okay. There's a nasty seam line right along here. Where the dress transitions into the frills. Okay, let's take a look here real quick. So there's this kind of thin resin flash that just kind of scrapes off. But then there's also some larger stuff right here and here. And those will need to be the nippers. I'll use them to to get some of that off. But for now, we can just kind of round the edges down. This is like filing a nail, basically. That's pretty rounded down. I'm gonna actually do have to make the light a little brighter. I'm having a hard time seeing it at this angle, so if it's too bright on the stream, let me know and I can try to bring down the settings a little bit. Mostly rounded out, so we're gonna start this next one. Okay, the back is where this stuff seems to be, so. And let me actually cut some more 400 grit real quick. I have to kind of move right around my setup, but I should have some ready. Yeah, right here. So. Whoa, something else falling. Okie doke, let me cut this real quick. So I've got this giant sheet of 400 grit. I just buy this from the hobby store. It's just 3M. I think this one is waterproof, I don't remember. Maybe not. I think I didn't buy the waterproof one for this one. So yeah, what I'm doing, in case that didn't make any sense, is I'm dry sanding, but what you can also do is wet sand. Basically just put the sandpaper in some water and then use the combination of water and the grits to get off the resin quicker, to sand it down a little quicker. But I don't like the texture of that. I'm kind of picky about that, and so that's why I don't do it. And actually, one other thing I'm going to be grabbing. It's over here. And I completely forgot about it until now. Is your sanding mask. And so you want to make sure that you have an N95 on when you're doing this. Hopefully you guys can still hear me okay. Oh! Oh my gosh! Disaster! But I caught it. There we go. You see that? A mishap. Hopefully I caught it and you guys didn't see. Panic. I think we're okay. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm totally fine. Like, as long as everything else is fine. Yeah, it actually didn't really hit anything. I have pretty fast reflexes, so we are good. Okay. Anyway, that aside, let me get this refocused. What's going on? It was like not happy. There we go. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, put on your N95. That was the whole point of me doing all of that. And then everything went crazy. Okay. Let's see. There's some extra flash here that I'm gonna peel off. A lot of this seems to be centered on the back, which is, I think, different compared to the other one. Or the other piece, but again, it's been a while. get some of this 400 in here, just very lightly. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, sand it this way. Okay. There's some pesky seam line that are residual on the back here. But you gotta get them because the way that they flow, it impacts the front. And so just have to make sure everything flows okay. Like this is a little annoying. There we go. Okay, that one's done. This looks pretty good, this curve here. So we're gonna work on this side and then transition into this one. Let's see if I can get some of this off first. There we go. That thin stuff just kind of flakes off, so it's not too big of a deal. And let's see. Just want a sharp X-Acto knife for this. Every tiny bit you take off does matter, so. Okay, that's good. All right, that one's pretty good already. So we're gonna move into this area here now. Yeah, and there was some stuff on the back. Yep, right here. This kit's interesting because she has, you know, this little skirt, but then on top of that, there's like a little apron and the main body and torso. So there's a few extra dimensions of clothing, which I think are really fun and offer a lot of opportunity to paint different color schemes. Although I haven't really seen anybody paint this in another color scheme other than this bird herself, because this is based on an actual bird, this little Mero-chan figure. So most of the builds I've seen of her are this kind of green and yellow bird, which is very cute. I'm probably going to paint it this color scheme as well, but I might do a slight alteration on the tone or the tint and make her maybe more or less pastel. I'm not sure yet. Okay, this one has some flash on the top, so. Okay, yeah, and there's a batch of extra resin. There we go, okay. All right, and then let's get some of this off, this extra flaky stuff. It's like filing nails. I actually read a really interesting paper for school the other day, or actually it was just a news article, but more like an interview and reporting. And I was talking about the incidence of like negative health effects or detrimental health effects and nail salon workers. And so that kind of caught my eye and was interesting to me because a lot of the stuff that they use can be similar to products that we use in this hobby. And so they use things like toluene and formaldehyde, and these are just chemicals that are used like in the nail industry. But there's not really that many studies like physically done that show that they cause cancer or health problems. But people are experiencing these health problems, and so It just was kind of like eye-opening that, oh, you know, we need to be wearing personal protective equipment and be careful because, you know, we're exposed to this stuff all the time, whether it's our job or our hobby, etc. So just don't forget to wear your safety gear and open your windows when you're, you know, working with stuff like hazardous odors or lacquer thinner or anything like that. Because if you're, you know, working on that for hours at a time on your kits, over time that will build up. This is me just ranting because of my classes. But it's funny how so much of it overlaps with, you know, things that we do in our everyday lives. And so a lot of the stuff that I do in this hobby, I keep thinking back, oh, you know, that's pretty relatable. Okay. Getting pretty good on this. You can see how rounded it is now compared to when we first started. And we're about halfway through this piece, so at least, you know, this side, so. This resin is at least pretty easy to sand off and work with, so. Alright, let's move across, and I'm gonna check the back again. Yep, there's some stuff here. Looks like potentially a bubble on the edge there. That's not good. And there's some annoying flash here as well. So let's see if I can just. There we go. Oop, that was not it. That was me. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And let's see. Once we get these curves, it's a little bit harder to. You have to angle it a certain way to get that extra stuff off. Okay. Okay, let's do this. You know what I should have done over my break is take photos of that little mini garden, but I completely forgot about it, to be honest, because I was like, oh my gosh, I have time to paint and do my projects and work on commissions, and nothing else got done. So that will have to happen over, oh gosh, I don't know when. Some of that. So far, so good. Pretty easy sanded, easy shaping. Okay, let's work back on this side now. So we're starting to go into the other side, but this one is not rounded out yet. Oh, that was pretty good. Just a little more here. There we go. Okay, so that one, and then let's transition over here. So this is the nice sculpted fold. But they can be tricky sometimes if you need to do some sanding. It's a little bit more here. I'm just trying to round that out, like egg shape. Okay. Does not take a lot of sanding. This is 800 grit, so we're not doing anything too crazy either. There we go. Yeah, that's about good. Okay, so let's double check. Okay, we're gonna work on this side a bit. Down in here. Let's see. Okay, it's a little bit rough on the inner side here, so I'm gonna scrape pretty lightly. The inner fold stuff is always kind of a pain. Usually I can like round my sandpaper like that. Smooth out this stuff a little bit. There we go. Okay, we're gonna start on this side and then come back to the other side if needed, because sometimes you have to shape the other side. Okay, this one's got a bunch of stuff going on though. So let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Can that even come off? Yep. There we go. Get this front sanded down. Oh yeah, I also got tickets for the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out, so I am excited for that. It was kind of crazy getting them though. I'm sure they've sold out by now. But I say that because I was just thinking about Zendaya. Because there was an event held today, and she was like with Tom Holland, and they were presenting, and I don't know if it was for the movie or what, but that was pretty nice to see. Okay, let's see where we're at. Oh, there's a hole there. I can see that. And something funky here too. There we go. Okay. Let's get that hole real quick. These bubbles that are in between areas are super annoying always, because then you have to stick your putty in them and sand off the whole thing. See if it will show. Right in there. Just annoying spots. Okay, these last couple are a little bit rough. I guess let's try this one, but I might have to switch gears and work from left to right instead. Just because it's easier for me to handle the piece that way. Cut off some of this maybe. Yep. There we go. I'm just gonna remove, I think, no, we'll do it bit by bit. Almost done with this piece though. just heard something. Hey, thank you, Scarlet Sleeper. Thanks for the follow. And a host. I don't know even what that means. But thank you. We are just working on a little kit right now. Garage kit, so Japanese resin. And we are sanding. So we're working on a little bird named Mejiro no Mero-chan. But people in the hobby just call them the bird kits. And so if you guys hear me saying, oh, the bird kit, she's one of many bird kits. So one of the first ones, actually. Alright, I see a little bird here. A little bird, a little pinhole. I have bird on the mind. Going to be doing your first garage kit in the first couple months and came from minis. Hey, that's awesome. Glad to have you here. And glad to have people entering the hobby. We are a small group of people, but very dedicated and passionate. So I'm happy to answer absolutely any questions that you have about this hobby, as I've been in it for over a decade and have made guides and etc. Kind of switched to streaming though, just to give people a time to answer questions and talk with me and etc. What kit are you interested in building, out of curiosity? Yeah, Curry mentioned it too. You will be happy to learn and know that a lot of the techniques from minis are applicable to garage kits, and so you know, chances are you have all the paints and brushes and maybe the airbrush. I think most of the stuff that is probably different is like the puttying and joint repairs and the pinning and all of that. That tends to be more on garage kits. Okay. Let's see. You have a Ramlethal Valentine kit. Ooh, nice choice. Nice choice. Yeah, I think that will depend on one, like where you bought it, and then two, like who sold it to you. If it's from eBay, hopefully you got it from, well, I don't know. We're kind of wary about promoting eBay to people getting into the hobby because of a phenomenon called tie recasts. And so I'm not sure how familiar you are with garage kits or just like the history of the hobby, but it's kind of split down into official and unofficial, kind of as you mentioned. But tie recasts fall under a category that's like on a scale of like good bootleg to bad bootleg in terms of quality. The tie recasts are over here, and so usually they're only sold on eBay, so that's kind of why it always gets my eyebrows raised when people say they buy from there. But there's also plenty of people who sell, you know, their old kits and stuff on eBay too, so there's not really any like way to say right away if it's, you know, good or bad or official or unofficial. Pretty much all of this hobby is secondhand unless you're obtaining it directly from a festival or a sculptor themselves or a mail order. So, and even then, like if you're getting it secondhand, it can be either official or unofficial. Okay, I'm gonna kind of switch gears here because we're getting pretty, close to the end, and I'm gonna work this way instead just so I have an easier access point for this. And so we're gonna start on this side. Yeah, no worries. I'm sorry if I just kind of info dumped on you. I think it will really depend. Once you get the kit, you'll be able to gauge how good or bad in condition it is. Okay, good. Yeah, we love to share info here. Just keep in mind too that I'm only one perspective, so Other people in this hobby will likely have differing opinions on things because, similar to minis, maybe not, I don't know, I don't build minis, but we always say, or at least I say, there's no like one way to build a kit, and so there's lots of ways to get you to the end point, you know, where you want to be in terms of like sanding materials and, you know, pinning and puttying. There's tons of options here in the garage kits here. So what I use in these streams are just, you know, the hobbies choices and supplies that I have been using for a while, but I know plenty of people who use different things. So like automatic sanders, those exist too, but I tend to do everything by hand. So what you're seeing with me is kind of like the slow building process, but again, it just kind of depends what you feel like doing. Oops, that's my airbrush, sorry, I did not turn it off. Alright, but we're pretty good on this piece. I think we're nearing the end here. Let me get another piece of 800 though. Oops. But yeah, we kind of go for the long haul in these streams. So typically when I start a new stream series, and this is a new one, this is only our second stream in this series, we go entirely from all of the prep up to the sanding. And so I do all the airbrushing and stuff on camera too. But because of that, these stream series tend to be pretty long. So if you're interested in viewing any past ones, we have built 2 kits on my streams so far, and those are available on my YouTube channel. All of the streams should be there. It's under Plum Workshop. I try to keep it updated as much as I can, but it just depends on my schedule because I don't do this full time. Alright, I think, let me hold this up real quick. Yeah, there was a bubble right here. There we go. You can even see it. Oh, yeah, just popped itself. Alright, so let's tackle this now. You can see there's some really nasty junk on the edge here. I'm gonna first start by getting this side stuff off. Looks like we also have a little bit more sanding to do on these corners, but that's fine. And, okay, the way I think I'm gonna handle this is I don't, okay, my X-Acto knife is sharp enough. I'm just gonna slowly scrape across it. But the thing that is kind of sketchy with this is you don't want to like bend into it too far, or else you might end up breaking the piece off. And this is actually pretty tough. So part of the way to kind of gauge it is see how easy that resin cuts off. And if it doesn't, like I'm having a hard time digging my X-Acto blade into it, that's when you just switch and you sand it down. There have been many times where I have overestimated and then ended up breaking off a piece, so it's a lot easier just to sand down. Okay, and then once it's sanded, you can kind of see, there we go. Now it's a little bit easier to get some of that off. There we go. Much better. Alright, let's get the rest of these wrapped up and then we'll be done with this piece. This corner is the last area. This one is really rough. texture is rough, the seam line is really rough on it, so I'm really kind of going to town with this 400 grit here. Okay, let's see if I can get a little more shaved off. There we go. Okay. Transition into the 800 briefly, just so I can see kind of where I need to sand. Okay. Nice. So that's nice and smooth now. I'm gonna start getting the edges all sanded, but you can see all of that nasty tab is completely gone and it's nice and smooth now. So just have to kind of round things out and get rid of any remaining seam lines. There's a faint line here. It looks like it could be a casting line, so just junk left over. And there's also a little pinhole here, so I'm gonna mark that. Okay, let's get these final edges sanded down. Oops. Okay, it's the back. The back is where all the leftover action is at as I throw this piece all over. Okay. There's a little scratch on the edge here. Unfortunately, I don't think that's one that's going to be easy to sand down. It's embedded pretty deep, so I think we'll have to fill that in with some putty. Okay, let's see. Go look here. Okay, I think that's good. Let me round this tip a bit more. Okay. A little bit more. I'm sure I'll notice some of this stuff later and try to correct it. A little bit of resin extra here. There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Let me get this too. Alright, let's do a quick look. It's looking a lot better than it did, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour ago. Let's hold it up to the light real quick too. I'm not seeing any bubbles like the other piece, so I'm wondering if that was just a strange casting mishap on the sculptor's part. And I don't actually know if Whoopie Pie sends these to a casting factory or not, so. Who knows? Okay. Oh yeah, there was a bunch of stuff up here too, so. Almost forgot about that. Just not too much to fix. Just some extra minor gunk in the inner edge. Okay, that won't affect too much. We just want to make sure that's shaved off. So that should be it for this piece. Let me get a little more here. Okay. And keep saying that's it, and then I just keep doing more. I'm sorry. Story of my life. Alright, so let's see. Oh yeah, that is not too much of a pleasant fit. I think actually what could help for this is if we heat treat the pieces and bend them to fit a little better. So that's a pretty typical thing I have to do with dresses and all of that, is just to blow a hairdryer on them for a while and heat the piece up, and then you can kind of bend the resin as you need to make it fit better. And that's a little bit faster and easier than puttying everything. So I think that's what I'm gonna have to do for this one, but even then it doesn't fit exactly how I want it to. Sorry, I just noticed a couple more bubbles. Let's get that real quick. Okay, so let me double check this and then we'll move on, just so I can confirm. Yeah, you can see there's a pretty bad gap right here. And this is, if I'm holding the piece like as close as I can on this side, there's a gap on this side, and kind of vice versa. It just doesn't fit properly. So we will try heating up the piece and seeing how that works, but we'll probably also have to do some finagling with it. There's also some extra stuff down here too, so. And it's also possible that the holes just might not be big enough, or they might be too small or too big, and so that's why the pieces aren't fitting properly. So there's a number of reasons that parts may fit incorrectly, and then kind of in the process of puttying and all of that, you can determine. Yeah, you can gap fit these. What I think I was just mentioning is a lot of times with skirts and stuff, you can heat treat them, and so resin will get pliable and be like you're able to bend it at certain heat temperatures. And so what I would typically do in this type of situation is I take a blow dryer and I heat the piece up pretty nice and toasty, usually like 45 seconds, a minute. And then you can just move the pieces and bend them to fit into the gaps and the holes better. And that can sometimes eliminate the need to fill it with putty entirely. But other times you're out of luck and then you have to fill the gap. So we'll probably have to do that. For this kit, though, she will have this thing covering over it, and she also has her little arms sticking out. But even when we're painting and figuring that out, we're probably gonna have to putty the gap over anyway if we want it to look like a seamless skirt. And so in a 3D space, you don't really want like these lines to show, unless you don't mind having that. So that's just future stuff. Hey, no worries, Rebel Star. I hope you have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. Next stream will be on Thursday, so I hope you can make it to that one. I'm moving some of this resin. Anyway, let's move on. I think I've talked about gaps enough, so we're gonna, let's see what we should do next. We have a whole bag. And we're gonna work on the back. So this piece next. Hello, Meds Evil. Yes, we are working on this. little Mejiro no Mero-chan. No worries, Scarlett. Have a good dinner and hope it is delicious. But yeah, so this is our new bird kit we're working on, Medieval. This is a kit from Whoopie Pie, and it's very up my alley, and as you can see on all my past builds, it's pretty much like this is the aesthetic, so I figured why not. It also has the benefit, a lot of people I know own this kit, and so maybe, you know, if people are having trouble with it or don't know what to do, then this will help them. So just, you know, good times all around. All right, let's take a quick look at this piece. It looks like, so this is part of a two-parter, so this essentially makes up her torso. There's a front and a back, and then it will fit over the skirt like this. So something like that. But yeah, so let's look at this one. There are some tabs on the back here. You can see there's a pretty significant seam line and a tab here that's a little annoying that runs along the side. Looks like mostly seam lines. Yeah, mostly some faint seam lines. There is a faint seam line up here, and then going around there's a seam line, and there's unfortunately a little bubble on the corner, so we'll have to fill that in as well. But it luckily does not look like the seam lines coincide with the actual lines of the dress. So let's see if it will show. Come on, camera. Wow, what's happening? Well, I'll zoom in at some point. Anyway, there's like these little guidelines on the dress that make it, you know, easier to mask and paint off, because she does have this line. That's kind of what I was talking about here. So that's nice. Having masking lines like that really helps, because then you don't have to freehand it or, you know, cut all the masking tape and do it yourself. So let's get started. I'm just gonna start on one side, and then as we reach the tab, I will sand it off. Okay. Also, I need this. These seam lines are pretty faint, so that's good. Don't have too much work to do on them. And it is the benefit of a flat surface, so that makes the sanding a lot easier, unlike the other piece we just did, which was kind of like back and forth and rounding and all of that. Yeah, this one is nice and easy. It's almost like they tried pretty well to get these matched up, but then some areas the seam line just kind of fails. Okay, so let's see if this will cut off. Not really. Okay, let's do the 400. That should help. Yep. It is pliable, so like you may be able to see as I'm pushing down on it, it's pushing this resin back. So you want to be, they're pretty sturdy, but you still want to be careful you're not bending too far. Don't want to break anything. But resin's surprisingly stable, so. The only time that I've really broken my pieces are when they're already super thin and very small. So this is not nearly as small enough to do any real damage. Okay. However, this is a very pesky tab, so it will take a little bit of work. Let's fold some of that. Okay, that's nice and sanded down now. And again, it is a flat surface, so there's not quite as much risk of oversanding, which is nice. But these are little rounded tabs too, so at least to an extent. I might have oversanded that just a bit, but that's okay. Yeah, just a tiny bit. Okay, let's work our way back up. Yeah, let's see if I can. There we go. A little bit troublesome. There you go. You just have to get your sandpaper at the right angle. This one has a little bit of the seam line running on the front, or I guess the top. If this is the top and this is the bottom, seam line starts to come on towards the top, so just want to be careful there, not to have it show. Let me start working on the other side, and that way I can gauge if I did an okay sanding job on the other piece. There's something a little bit weird here. Let's see. It's like a slightly discolored resin area. I think it's that issue that sometimes happens where it's like not mixed properly or didn't settle as flat, but since it is in the back, I don't think it matters too much. So, see some slight seam line along the side here still, so try to clean that up. Come on, come on. There you go. Let's see if poking this a bit helps. Oh yeah, what's happening here? Something funky. I think it's just a really, really thin bit or something. So I'm not gonna mess with that too much more, because if I do, I'm just gonna dig into the sides and then it's not gonna be as even. Basically the line here gets real thin real quick on the top here. There we go. Oh no. A little bit more toward the back. There we go. Okay. You know, I don't think I'm gonna mess around with the seam line back here, because we're not gonna see it at all. And if it's gonna impact the thickness of this piece, then I don't really see why we're doing that. So let's just continue along, and then after I take a second look at the sanded piece, we can go from there. Okay, some again tabs on this. This one has that thick tab here. So let's see. I'm gonna sand this down a bit. Okay. Whoa, grab my. There we go. Perfect. Get that snipped off. Not too much. There we go. That's about good. Hey, Mr. Freaky. Wow, thank you. Oh my god, already another month? 9 months. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. I've been doing this for 9 months. I was just thinking like, oh, we've been through like 2 kits and then technically 3 projects. And yeah, I guess that would be 9 months. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for your support this whole time. I am overwhelmed and overjoyed. Thank you very much. That really means a lot. But yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think it feels like 9 months at all. Now I'm flabbergasted. But hey, now we got like another 2 months and then maybe 3 and this figure will be done too. And then, then it will be a whole year we've been doing this. And that is crazy to me because I remember like, just starting this and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but we've been doing it. Yeah, this is Whoopie Pie, right? Yeah, and so I'll just show it again because I love her that much. Yeah, this is Mejiro no Mero-chan. I'm glad that I'm working on a similar one because that was my attempt here. I know a lot of people purchase figures from Whoopie Pie because they're, very cute and they're touted as good beginner kits, and so I'm putting that to the test. I actually have more than one of her kits in my closet, but this is one of the first ones that I bought, and bought it directly at Wonder Festival, I think. Yeah, Curry, didn't you pick this one up? Because I remember you bought a couple of them. This was like back before coronavirus happened and we had time to visit Japan. Picked this one up, and since then I'm glad that they went on booth. So when we picked it up, these weren't even available on booth at the time, and I was very hopeful that they would eventually come to booth, and so now I'm glad that everyone can enjoy these kits. The one you got was a bit complicated, so it's in the pile of shame. Yeah, I feel you. I actually ended up selling one of her other kits. It's one of the scale model ones. I don't know if it was ever available on booth, but it just was really complex and I didn't feel like I would ever have the time to build her. And so this one though is a little bit simpler. Yeah. She had a layered skirt with lots of thin pieces. Oh man, yeah, that sounds already pretty troublesome. Definitely on the to-do list. Okay, so let's keep going up here. There is a pretty nasty tab right here. So I think the easiest way to do that will be to X-Acto knife it off, but now I'm not so sure. Let's see. You have to do it at a certain angle because otherwise it's gonna cut into the skirt like that a bit. That's pretty good. Let's sand off that. Okay, so get that area and then kind of very carefully just sand off this tab here. This might be why pieces weren't fitting that well either. Okay, that can help. Let's hold it this way. But But yeah, I'm glad so many people are buying Whoopie's kits now. Really, they deserve all of the love and support. One of the few sculptors these days who is selling lots of very, very cute chibi garage kits that are original character. That is always a big, big selling point in my book, is if it's an original character, because I've kind of moved beyond just buying character figures these days, so I really enjoy being able to experiment on my kits and do color schemes that fit my mood, so I'm less on the hype for, you know, the typical stuff these days, because I'm trying to view them in a different way, I guess. I feel like I'm an outlier in some ways about it, but luckily the techniques for kits apply to everything, so it don't matter what kit you're working on. Everybody can enjoy the build process and learn. Okay, so that came off pretty successfully, but I'm gonna round down this area just a little bit. And actually, let me take the 800 to this first, and then I'm gonna kind of try to test fit the arm and see where that's at right now, because that will determine how much I can mess around with the sanding here. Unfortunately, it's still a little bit here. There we go. Okay, let's get an arm out. I don't remember if this is left or right arm. The side we're on right now. Looks like left. Or no, right. Facing this way. So let's see. Oh yeah, that's kind of... Oh, this is kind of rough because she's got this chunk too. What is that chunk for? Oh, okay, there's like a little frill that comes out. So, oh, but this fits pretty well. Okay, yeah, that fits pretty nicely already. It's just some extra junk, and this is like in the way, so let's put those aside for now. So I think I can do a little bit more work with the 800 here, and maybe my blade, but let's see. No, it's kind of a weird angle, so let's do this instead. Just removing this faint seam line. Not too big of a deal though, because the arm is going to cover it. Alright, let's work our way up and across. Should be okay. Alright, so there's this annoying little bubble right there at the corner. You can see that some of the seam line runs along the top, so we're gonna have to smooth that out too. But she does have a head that I think fits right into the, well, can't do it yet, but it will fit like this. And her hair should cover most of that. So once we get to that point, we'll be able to test fit that. Unfortunately, because there are so many tabs, that makes the test fitting hard out of the box. Some kits are better about that than others. This one is not the case. Whoa, seeing a link here. Let's see. Oh, you found the picture. All right, let me click. Click. Oh, very cute. Yeah, I think one of my friends has this kit. That one's really cute. I love all of her frills, but I can see what you mean by it being too thin. Looks like there's a lot of potential for resin mishaps. Yeah, that one would go in my pile of like when I get around to it as well, so I feel you. I like how blue she is. I really love the sculptor. I really love like the original character. I love that they're birds because I love birds. She does like the Lolita stuff, like the steampunk stuff. There's something for everybody. And yeah, there's like a variety of skill levels and challenges and things as well, because you can get like the chibi kits and you can get the super chibi kit. So like this kit's pretty small, but I have one by her that's even smaller than this one, and so there's a nice range of sizes and characters for everyone. All right. So this is mostly smoothed down. There's a couple of thin lines here, but they're not from tabs. They're just scratches, and I don't think that they'll be visible once we are actually putting this kit together. So I'm gonna move on to this side, and it looks like I might be able to. Let's see. It's a little bit there. I can sand off. There we go. That's good. Okay. And let's get some of this extra resin off. But we're almost done with this piece now that I look at it. I think this is the end. I think we started here and then worked our way down. So we're about ready to start the other side of the torso. Whether we'll finish that tonight, whoops, I don't know. But it is shorter than this piece. So the front part of the, I don't know what you'd call this. It's not really an apron. I'll just say a torso. Front part of her torso is a little shorter. Thick seam line here. That 400 grit really coming in handy here. Okay, and there's a curved seam line here. Focused again. Sorry for that. There we go. Okay. All right, that looks about good on that small area. So let's get that sanded with the finer grit. Oh yeah, that's nice and smooth. And let's see. Looks like all that's left is this small area here. Okay. Don't necessarily need to do all of this, I think. I'm gonna test it with the arm. Hey, how you doing, Custard? Nice to see ya. We are building new things, new kits. All right, I think this is the arm. Wait, didn't I just test this? Oh yeah, it's this one now. Okay. This one has a tab, so I'm not sure. Oh, that looks like it fits pretty well. So you can see on the side here, there's very little gap. It's actually no gap at all, so that's a nice and easy fit. That's perfect. All right, so let's give this another look, but then I think after that we're ready to move on to the front part. So this piece here. Do a little bit more work on the sides. There might be a seam line or two I'm missing. And also, let's check the piece up against the light. There's a minor, there we go, right here. Fix that real quick. Okay. Let's see. I think it's still there. A little break in the resin, I think. I might be able to sand that down. I think that's from that tab. Check now. Basically, you can just also check up against the light your seam lines, because sometimes it will fade away if they're against an edge or something. Okay. Oh wait, I think I see some minor bubbles here, but that could be extra resin, or it could be okay, I think that's good. Yeah, I think it was just extra resin. And here, some casting issue. Really, the light is so valuable because it will not only show you, casting bubbles, but also any scratches or defects if they show up with a slightly different color under the light. So, okay, that's good. All right, so this piece is all done now, which means these are all done. Most of the big ones were getting done. And so now we're ready to move on to this piece. So this is the front part of her torso. Let me hold it up together so you can see it. See if it will focus first. Maybe because of that. Okay, there we go. So yeah, her torso is a lot shorter in the front compared to the back, but you can see it fits pretty well. There's a little bit of a minor issue here, but I think it's because of this tab. And so this piece has some pretty bad tab right here. It also has a lot of the textural seam line stuff. Same kind of deal. It has a thick line running up here, all along the side, and all along this side too. Looks like there is some bubbling and there is some thin resin area, so I will have to drill out some of that. I don't know if it's visible under this light. You can kind of see the thinness is right here. I don't know if you can see oh, that kind of shows it. So right up in here is where that resin's kind of thin. And again, I wish I could hold this under a light. Maybe a UV light will show it. Oh, but UV light's downstairs. Never mind. Okay, so let's just get started. I'm gonna start on this side first and then work our way over to this tab over here. So this side also has some of the bubbles, so we can pop those out. But this textural stuff's pretty easy to get off, so. Oh yeah, that bubble's pretty bad. No, but it looks like it's on this side, so let's see. Yeah, that's weird. Oh yeah, that's weird. Okay, so some of the bubbles are like on one side and some are on the other, but I'm gonna pop these ones regardless because with how thin this resin is, it might come back to bite me later, and it's better to just be proactive. So we'll get those for now, but there are many more on this piece too, unfortunately. Just because it's white, pure white resin, don't mean that it's free of all the flaws. Still gotta repair it. This one too, I get pretty gung-ho, but I should be a little bit more careful about sanding these edges down because it does have this masking line here. Just kind of sucks when all the casting defects are right there too. Okay, let's do it this way then. That way I can control the amount of sanding and see where this line is at. Some of this in the back is pretty annoying. Right, let's continue slowly. Oh, so unfortunate, these seam lines. Lightly scrape some of that gunk off. That will make it so we don't need to do as much sanding. Making good progress though. Really, we're going through a lot of the big pieces here, and then all we have are the really tiny ones left. So there's should be only a couple more sand-in streams. Okay, there's a dot there. Some weirdness here. So there's a weird kind of different colored texture. I don't know if that's visible. Like right here where I'm poking. And then there's kind of a hole. Oh yeah, there's a pinhole there too. That's annoying. Or a bubble. I guess pinhole is also the other term. We just use so many terms for the same thing in this hobby. Alright, let's get some of this back smoothed out. Oh, I feel like something just flaked off. Oh yeah. So this thin resin is making it so part of that flaked off. So we'll have to actually go in and re-sculpt some of that, putty it out. That's gonna be a little tedious, but that's no problem. Everything in this hobby is pretty fixable, so. But maybe I won't go quite as heavy right now. So from what I'm talking about, you can see here that it kind of just flaked off. And so normally this is like nice and rounded, but you can see this weird colored bubble here. There's like a line of thin resin, and then it just kind of like, I don't know. I didn't cut it or anything. It's just the resin is so thin it kind of falls off like that. So part of what we'll have to do is correct that. The other side is, yeah, we'll need some fixing. I was gonna say if it looked like that on the other side, that's like okay, because then it's symmetrical, but it's not, so. Yeah, it's thin junk. Okay. And I'm actually not even gonna smooth that edge down. I'm gonna leave that because I want to give something for that putty to grip onto later. Okay, let's see. Also not quite sure what's happening here with that thin stuff. So let's see. Oh, it's just so thin. Okay. So we now have a tab here. We're gonna have to clip that off like that, and then kind of work our way into getting the rest of this junk off. So try to figure out the best way to approach it. I am left-handed, which can make things a little bit hard sometimes. Let's cut off some of this, and then we'll use the sandpaper and get the rest off. Okay. That's a little bit thick. Okay. Sandpaper it is. This one is a little bit in a weird spot, and the resin's too tough right now, so just needs to be sanded first. Okay, now let's try. There we go. I don't know why that works, just kind of making the area smaller and softening it up helps the X-Acto knife dig into it a little bit better, and then it can flake off like that. There you go. Okay. I want to be able to peel this like this. Let's see. But you gotta be careful. Yeah, it's very tough resin there. Oh, there's something. Okay. Sand it down a little first and then try. There we go. Yeah, again, it works. Oh, it's like a different resin. Again, it's got this weird off color. Okay, that should do it. So now let's work on sanding this inner portion first, and then that will correct the outside. I find that even if you won't see some of this stuff, sometimes it affects the fit or the way that the kit looks, so it's just better to tackle things even if they're invisible, even if you won't see them when you're assembling. There we go. Almost done. It's smooth on this side. Perfect. That one's nice and smooth now. Smooth it down even more with the 800. Okay, so now let's work on this side. There's still a bit of extra resin, and the tab kind of fits into this crevice where there's a fold for the front of her torso. So what we got to do is we have to sand in a way that matches the fold. So you don't want to sand over the fold and, you know, over sand it and bring it down. You want to accentuate that area. Which it looks like we don't need to do too much. It's already pretty good. But there's a bunch of bubbles in this area too. And a weird, like dirt? Not really sure what's going on there. So many weird things about this kit. Another bubble here. Oh, that one. Wow, that one pops right through. Okay. A bit of a seam line here as well. Yeah, I'm really wondering if I just got a bad cast or if like people didn't notice these things. I'm not really sure. It just seems like this kit has so many tiny issues. But when there's a lot of small ones, they add up. Okay, let's hold this up again to the light. Looks like smooth this out a little more. And I think we're mostly good to continue on. So the next thing, you can see there's this tab right here. That's what we gotta cut off. This is not part of the kit, the build fit, so to speak. That needs to go. Let's get that sanded first, and then we'll just slice it off with the X-Acto blade if we can. Want to be careful not to over sand the little flowers here, which are sculpted very well. So thankfully there's no flash or horrible stuff happening here. This makes that a lot easier to deal with in paint, and that's really nice. So looks like the detail on this kit is preserved where it matters, and that's the important thing. There we go. Okay, so let's sand the rest down. And after I sand this arm area, let's test out that arm again and see how it fits. If it fits better, if it fits worse. It all makes a difference. Okay, I'm gonna drag this towards me a little. Get off some of this also a bubble or something on this corner. Okay, let's get this corner and then that should be okay. Oh yeah, that luckily was not a air bubble. It's just an extra piece of resin. And let's get this side here too. Oh, I see it. What do I see? There's a couple of small bubbles, but they're hard to spot. Oh, looks like that was a bubble. I lied. Thought we were safe. I should have known better. Usually when there's like a little air pocket bubble sticking up, that means there's one underneath too. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, I found a mother lode, and they're all like in here, so that's not great. But before I get ahead of myself and start popping these like crazy, let's check the side fit. Very hit and miss. Actually, I think the side fit's being affected by this, so let's get this off. Hello, Rocket. My cat is here. Alright, there we go. Okay, not perfect fit here either. That's okay. So let's see, where were we at? Here, I think this was the one. Should fit like that. Well, that does fit pretty good still though, so that's promising. Even without the tabs cut on this, the fit is nice, so. Alright. In that case, let's continue. It looks like we need to work across the top here, so there's a nice thick seam line you can see running along the edge here. However, there's also a ton of holes, so if I hold my hand over this, you can kind of see the outline of some of them. It's like over here. The light shines through it and you can see that hole. But there's lots of them. So let's get this top part sanded down first and then we'll work on popping some of the bubbles. And I think that's all we'll have time for tonight. I don't think we'll have time to get to the rest of this. Mostly because I have to go to bed early because I have to still do some presentation stuff because I have a big presentation tomorrow for school. But I do have time to pop bubbles. It's one of my favorite activities. Followed by my not so favorite activity, filling bubbles. Okay, with this again, want to be not too zealous. Because the more that I work on this, the more it's going to sand on that line. But I can't help it because the seam line's so thick. Let's get another sandpaper. Wow, even just sanding it down reveals bubbles though. So they're not very deep, they're pretty shallow. But they just crop up. Okay. This side's pretty okay, but this one is like a little bit off. Sanded a bit more. Trying to even out the border here, the edge. should be okay. Alright, so let's smooth that out and then start popping. Already just sanding it revealed a couple more. So let's see. Up here, you can see a couple right there. And then again, holding it. Well, maybe not. But let's just start popping and then I'll show you guys again how many I found. And I'm using a 0.5 millimeter drill bit for this, so it's not one that's too big, but it's not too small either. It's just kind of a... I typically pin this stuff for semi-small details and small kits, so... Oh geez, where do you even start? It doesn't even look like anything, but then you shine it to the light and it's just, they're everywhere. These are the invisible ones for sure. Okay, give me 1 second. Oh my god. Okay. So that angle works. I don't know how good that is on the stream, but actually let's see if I can just do, let me bring my light forward a little bit and see if that helps. Kind of. Yeah, it helps a little bit. Okay. I feel like that's probably way too bright. And it actually does not help that much either. Okay, this does though. Usually the process for this is I literally am like holding it up to the light and simultaneously drilling into it. But as you can see, that does not work quite as well for a stream because you guys are the focus, so. Again, sorry if it goes back and forth. Oh, but this is a pretty good angle here. I have a good sight of the bubbles. And there are many. But they do seem to be concentrated mostly in the top here, and so thankfully we won't see most of these because her big head will be in the way. Okay, let me check. There's another one, a big one right here. And here, a couple more. Starting to lose track of them, so that's a good sign. That means that we've gotten most of them. But there's a few tiny ones here and there that might prove pesky later. Let me check the other sides of the skirt so we can get a couple of these popped out too. And then we'll do a final kind of show of the piece before we wrap up for tonight. Oh my god. They really are just like in very random spots too. Looks like most of them on this side are where that dress was having trouble with the resin. Okay, do a couple more. You can basically see they're forming like a pattern. So like along here, there's a pattern of them forming. Or something went wrong in the casting. It's not a random formation. Like the resin's a little bit lighter in those areas. And you may ask why I'm like doing it on this side since we're not going to see it anyway. That's because the resin is so thin that it might pop through to the other side, and so by fixing this side we've avoided a crisis. Or potentially it actually being on the other side. Okay, think that's where I'm going to stop tonight. But we do have more bubble filling on this piece. Bubble popping, I guess, on this piece next stream because we're not done with it yet. And so let's move this and I'll show you guys. So here's kind of where we're at. As you can see, there's a lot of bubbles on this. There we go, there's a really good angle. So many bubbles. The bubbles kind of extend down here. So you can see they form this pattern and just kind of go along the side of the dress. Let's see. I'm trying to like see it on my camera. There we go, there's an okay shot. The other side has a couple as well. There's some junk happening here. But mostly they're all right, like on focus right there. Anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're gonna stop tonight. We managed to do a lot though. We're working on all the big pieces, so I have to bring them down. Mostly we've like gotten to here, and then all we'll have left is the small stuff and her head, and so that's good. We're making good progress. So I think I'm gonna wrap up now because I still got some stuff to do tonight, but thank you so much for tuning in and watching my stream. We will have a stream on Thursday, so that will be December 12th, or not 12th, 2nd? Yeah, December 2nd. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope you guys all have a wonderful night and stay warm. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.